Strixhaven is a really special adventure book for D&D and for Magic. Each of our previous Magic books was a survey of the particular Magic plane that it was about and had a little bit of adventure content. This time, we sort of reverse the ratio and have a lot of adventure content while still surveying the setting. That large amount of adventure in a Magic setting is super exciting to me, largely because while exploring that setting and turning it into a place of adventure, the book has ended up not only having a number of fun new little subsystems, like the rules on taking exams, or creating relationships, or being involved in extracurricular activities, but also the book, in an effort to really echo what it's like to be at a vibrant university, is filled with mini games. There are sports you can play. There is a masquerade you can go to. There's a fashion show. There are sing-offs. There's a play. All of these things and more are a part of this book. And I think if you're like me as a DM and you like to loot things from adventure books, even if you don't end up running those adventures, I think this book is a treasure trove, because you can take any one of these mini games or these subsystems and repurpose it in other campaigns. Same is true for this book's bestiary of creatures and faculty members and students. You can take them and drop them into another setting, another campaign. And then you also have the new player options, which come at player options in a setting in a different way from our other books. This combination of background, feat, purchasable magic items, and new spells. If you take all of these elements together, it's sort of like you're receiving a Strixhaven tote bag that you got at orientation and is filled with tools that you could be using in your D&D campaigns for years to come.
So in this book, we focus on flexibility for you, the DM. You can run all 4 of these adventures consecutively as a single campaign, taking your players from 1st level to 10th level. Or, if you so choose, you can have your players create PCs of a specific level and play one of the adventures. Each adventure takes place in one chapter, and each chapter is mapped to a year at the university. So if you just want to dip your toes into running adventures on the campus of Strixhaven, you could have your players create PCs who are freshmen at Strixhaven University, uncovering all of the mysteries and the wonder of being on the campus for the first time. If you are excited about the game of Mage Tower and you really want to run that campaign, that adventure rather, you can have your players create PCs specifically tied to taking part in the big intramural Mage Tower game that adventure revolves around. If you'd rather have your players attend a masquerade ball, if that really appeals to you, you can run just the Masquerade Ball adventure for your players and focus on that. If you would rather have your players be seasoned students, ready to graduate or almost graduate and take on the final villain of the entire campaign arc, you can play the last adventure where your players will be seniors and they will discover that there's a villain just off campus that needs to be confronted and stopped before something terrible happens at the university. No matter how you run these adventures, there will be stories that will be satisfying for you and your players. The campaign covers that villain that I just mentioned, and his plots are weaved throughout all of the mishaps and all of the sinister happenings going on campus for all 4 years. If you decide to run one of the adventures as a standalone or 1 or 2 of the adventures as a short arc, there are story beats that are built into the book that allow you to create a satisfying ending for your players. This book is versatile in a way that we hope will serve your needs, and we hope will add replayability to your adventures at your table. So the adventures in Strixhaven, A Curriculum of Chaos, start in Chapter 3. The beginning of Chapter 3 includes all of the rules that you need to plug into the adventures that are subsequent to that material. There are relationship rules that lay out all of the 18 fellow student NPCs that you'll meet within the course of your adventures on campus. There is in-depth information about each NPC, which college they are a member of, which extracurriculars you might meet them during, which jobs they hold down, to really breathe these NPCs and have them come to life. There are also the extracurricular rules, which involves joining different clubs and activities, all of the different clubs and activities that you would recognize as part of any university life you will find within these pages. There are also jobs that you can join by various locations that employ students, and there are the exam rules for taking exams throughout the course of all of the adventures. These provide you a little bit of a boost in the form of student die, which you can roll to add to specific types of checks and to boost your adventuring prowess on campus. So once we get through all of the rules in Chapter 3, we get to the first year adventure. This is the freshman year adventure. It's all about exploring Strixhaven's campus. And what better way to explore Strixhaven's campus than by attending an orientation in the Biblioplex, in which you need to search around for places and uncover riddles. If you answer them successfully, if you do what it is the riddle is prompting you to do, you win a prize. This is a fun way for you to introduce Strixhaven in the Biblioplex and specific to your players. I think one of the most fun realizations that I had while I was working on the adventures for this book involved realizing that I was really just creating what I would have wanted to experience as a student at a university myself. Some of these group events that are happening, these big parties that are going on, the improv festival, the sing-off, the dares that are happening on campus, I really feel like that is an elevated, fun experience that really is divorced from just the stress and the anxiety and, the pressure of being an actual student at a university. I feel like in Strixhaven, you get all of the fun experiences of life on campus, all of the cool socialization and role-playing that would make life really awesome on campus, but without all of some of the negativity that you might experience on campus. And I feel like that this will really allow people to play out an experience at a university that they're really in control of and that they really are able to create and make their own. And I think that's really what makes this book shine for me. I do advise DMs to run a special session 0 when you're going to run the adventures in this book. And by that, I mean, take some time with your players to perhaps introduce the NPCs that they'll meet within the course of their adventures. Give them the NPC gallery and allow them to read about the backgrounds of these NPCs and who they are, so that when they meet the NPCs or when they seek out the NPCs, you will have a good idea as the DM to how to run them, and your players will have a good idea of who they're interested in or who they'd like to be rivals with. Take plenty of time to allow players to familiarize themselves with the way the rules work, including the relationships rules, but also the exams, the extracurriculars, and the jobs. We do include in the book a very handy tracking sheet that allows players to tick off specific rules elements that they may be using throughout the book, and it helps you to remind your players to keep track of that so that you aren't keeping track of everything in your head. We also really want to encourage GMs to, again, use a session 0 to run over everybody's level of consent and comfort when it comes to the relationship system, if that's something you're using in your game. You would certainly want to establish your own level of comfort with how you would like to interact with players who are role-playing their characters and the NPCs that you are able to role-play yourself as the DM. And we also want players to be able to vocalize what they're comfortable with, what they might not want to have in their game, and maybe where their boundaries are when when it comes to the friends, the rivals, and the beloveds that the game does discuss. Ultimately, it's all about what you're comfortable with as the DM, and it's all about what your players are comfortable with at the table. And we really just encourage you to make this game your own in any way that you wish. So there you have it. Lots of information about the adventures in Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos. I just want to say that I hope that everybody enjoys and loves these adventures, that they bring happiness and fun and goofiness and quirkiness into your life and to your table, and for all of your D&D players, as well as for you, the DMs. I had a ton of fun making this book, and I also want to thank everybody who worked with me to bring this book to life, to bring it to your table, and we hope that you enjoy playing it as much as we enjoyed making it.